love riding my bike. I love running. I don't care what they think about it. I love it.
At that point, when I knew I was going to win, chills just went up and down my entire body.
I don't believe there are any good or bad foods. Food is food.
I still feel so passionate about getting that record that I'm like, I'm just going to do it.
As an athlete, I was like, what's my story, or what's your story? What can you learn from it? And what can you teach people?
Welcome to the IronWomen podcast. I'm Alyssa Godesky here with my co-host, Haley Chura. Haley, last week we got to hear about your PT updates with Claw. What is it? Claw and Table.
Hook and Table.
Hook and Table.
Hook and Table. Yes.
Hook and Table. And so I am dying to know how hook and tabling is going, as well as I saw a very recent happy update on Instagram that you did get results about your knee MRI. And again, it's a happy update, I think, but I don't want to spoil it too much. Can you tell us what are the latest developments? How are you doing?
Okay. Thank you, Alyssa. Yes. For anyone who has not been listening, maybe this is your first time tuning in to IronWomen.
Welcome. To IronWomen.
2 weeks ago, I crashed my bike at T100 Las Vegas, and I had hand surgery. Soon after, I got a plate and a bunch of screws put into my ring finger. And so it's like the fanciest hardware you could possibly get on that finger. It's so fancy. But the hand update is that today I got my stitches out, which was like crazy to me. Like I'm 2 weeks post-crash, like 2 weeks and a couple days post-crash, and already have the stitches out. I'm still in a brace, or like a splint. I'm still doing PT. I met with a hand surgeon who is like now my favorite person. And she, she's happy with what I have done. I'm going back to PT tomorrow, and then like really, really working on it. My hooks are awesome. My tables are very not good. And so they're not bad, but that's like what I need to work on. But it's going to be another week before I can like put pressure on my hand. And then also I asked about swimming, because I was like, can I put, like, I can't fully submerge my hand yet, even with the stitches out, but I can like wash it. But she said, the big pool here in Bozeman is reopening on Wednesday, which would have been, the biggest news. But then, I asked about like, can I put it in a bag and like kick with it? And she's like, please wait a week. So we are waiting a week, but then it might actually be like some like moving my hand in the water and like actually doing some therapy in there. She just wants it healed a little bit more, which makes sense with bacteria and whatnot. And I'm just being super chill about it and patient. But my knee was the other thing that was impacted. I had a massive swelling, and I got an MRI last week on Thursday. And then I got my results back this morning, and Alyssa, I was like in the waiting room, and it is 35 degrees in Bozeman this morning. Oh, wow. And I'm wearing just like t-shirt and shorts, because I'm going to, see a doctor about my knee, and it's like actually really hard for me to put long sleeves on. And I was dripping sweat. You were
so nervous?
I was so nervous. I was like so nervous, because I just was like, I've been trying to be optimistic, but my knee has been very stiff. It's like swelling has gone down a lot, but it's very stiff, and there's like a bump for sure. And I was just like, oh my goodness. And I'm really proud of how I handled the hand surgery, and I'm like very thankful for my surgeon and all of that. But I was like, I don't know if I can do it again, like in all honesty, and I have new empathy for you, because I know you've just done 2 knee surgeries over the last couple of years. And it's so traumatic, and I've been very, very down, to be perfectly honest, for like the last 2 weeks. And I was just like, also like the mobility thing on, not having a hand and a knee at the same time. Again, I know people are amazing, and they are able to do a lot with, different abilities and mobility and limb differences and everything like that. But I was not prepared for that going into the winter. And so the good news is I do not need surgery. So my MRI came back with no needed surgery. I have I have a big bone bruise on my patella, and then some contusion in my quad muscle, but no need for surgery. Just, the doctor he's like, you're gonna be spending a lot of time in the gym. And I was like, down bad crying in the gym. That is where I love to be. So I was like, this is music to my ears, actually. I'm like,
Did you say that to him? Did he understand the reference?
He did not strike me as a Swiftie. And so I did not say that, but honestly, I started crying, and I was like, no, I'm just really happy. I'm very sweaty and crying and happy, because I was just like, just thankful again that I've been so thankful that I've had good medical care, but I'm just thankful that I wasn't worse again. 'Cause this was a crash that it was 100% my fault. And like, it's one thing when I was, 30 and I was injured and coming back from that, but it's a little different when you're close to 40 and injured. And is there a comeback? And, am I going to run again? And those kind of things. And so, yeah, so especially going from like the fitness of my life, like 2 weeks ago. And so it's just like, it's been a humbling experience, but I was really thankful for that. So now I have a hand PT and a knee PT, which is like excessive.
They're not the same person, different people,
No.
different
No,
specialists.
because like
Okay.
hand PT is like I think actually like hand stuff is very specialized, and like I think it's
Yeah,
also just like
see
a lot
that.
of it's like mobility, and like yes, I can do the hooks and tables by myself, but like some of the like manual stuff is definitely I can't, especially because I'm not as good as her. And so like it's interesting. Like I'm learning a lot about hands in this, and it is like it's like a lot more specialized. And then I'm guessing knee is too. And the knee one, I'm like he's describing it, he's like single leg stuff, and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna be so good at this. So hopefully, because the hand stuff I'm not good at. Like again, I'm like, they're like, do this motion, and I'm like, I can't. But it's only been 2 weeks, so I'll get there hopefully. But yeah, so it's interesting. I'm learning a lot, but I go to the same place, and I'm like, can we try to like schedule them back to back? And then they're like, we're not sure if your insurance will allow that, and I'm like, are you kidding me?
Oh my
Like,
gosh.
I'm just
Classic.
like, yeah, that's the part I
Welcome
like.
to America. Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely don't need to think about too much, and just like all that. But I'm thankful. I'm thankful for the good people in my life, which I will say, okay, Alyssa, I know I'm like going on and on, but this is like my crazy story last week. After we talked, I honestly was like not doing well last Monday. I mean, I don't know if it was evident on the podcast or not, but I think I might have shed some tears, but I was not doing well. And I went for a walk after recording with my friend Colleen, and because we walk sometimes, and I was like out walking, and like we were like 500 meters from my house. Like we're not walking far, right? Because not exactly the most mobile. And I do have like a neon pink like splint, so it's a little bit easy to see. But we are walking, and I see these people walking, and I was like, oh my God, it's my hand surgeon. I was like, no, because I'm friends with some physicians, and I know what it's like a little bit when they like run into patients like out in the wild, and like that's not what they want when they're like out with their family. And
but I always think that, and then I'm like, but it's not us, right? Because we're like the fun ones to run into.
Oh no, I listen to them tell stories about patients sometimes, and it's like they're describing me. I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, I am the person that my physicians like complain to their friends about for sure.
Oh, no.
Like they're like, wait till you get a load of this girl. And like, I'm like, I know it. And so I was like so embarrassed, but I can't hide. Like I have a neon arm brace. Like it was like, she knew it was me. And like, honestly, I was like, I was like, oh, Dr. Compton. I'm like, I'm so sorry to interrupt your walk, but she actually said she was like glad to see me out. So that was actually good. But actually, why I'm telling this story is that I was like very down going into this, but there was something about seeing my hand surgeon out with like her husband or 2 children, like walking, and like it like changed something in my brain. And I was like, wow, this woman is like a real person, and like this is like she moved heaven and earth to like get my surgery done, and she worked so hard on that surgery, and I need to honor that. Like I was about ready to give up on life like the day before in that morning, and I'm like, okay, you need to, for her, like she did all that work, you can't let that go to waste. Like you've got to like take care of yourself, and you've got to get back to like full health. And I told her that today. I was like, my goal now is to like get back and like do another race and send you pictures and just be like, okay, thank you for helping put me back together. And because I know that was a lot of work, and it wasn't even her normal like surgery schedule. And I'm just like, so, so, so grateful. And then I'm like, also sorry for like stalking you. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not stalking you, but it felt like that, I'm sure. Cause I'm like running it. I'm like the kind of person though, that I feel like now you're going to run into me everywhere. And I know.
well, maybe your paths did cross all the time and you just never knew each other, right? But now you're going to recognize each other. So that's, I mean, it
was
seems like that's
wondering
very, very
that.
possible. Yeah.
I was wondering that because I'm like, this is a trail that I've run like a million times or like
Yeah.
dog walked a million times. But I will say I didn't have a dog with me because Cowboy is staying with my parents because it's just like, I don't want to risk like using the wrong hand and like that kind of thing or falling. And so that has been, you know, a little bit hard, honestly, like not having him around, but it's better for him because they can take him on walks and that kind of thing. And but I am getting some cowboy time and just, I mean, I've told that story to a lot of people, so I apologize if people have heard it before, but I do think I'm in a better headspace and just like, you know, excited a little bit more for the future, which is good. But
that's awesome. No, I'm glad you're out of that kind of waiting and wondering. I think we can be our own worst enemy when we're like left to think about the unknown. And actually, I don't know if you listened to If We Were Writing podcast last week with Dr. Erin Ayala. And so I actually have been working with Dr. Erin. I call her Erin, but I'll call her Dr. Erin. On air.
That rolls off the tongue so well. Dr. Erin is like
great.
Yeah.
Working through like my own sports psychology stuff and just trying to kind of, you know, stay in the game mentally throughout all of this. And we haven't been working together too long. But one of the things that she's been really great, and she talks about it a little bit on the podcast too, is like how the unknown is really hard. And it's funny because like I always am someone who have like thought that like asking questions and like investigating things and like about the injury and stuff is like not what I should be doing, right? Like for whatever reason, my brain was like, no, you should just like wait till the doctor tells you that and then like go with that, right? But she's actually taught me a lot about how like that unknown, like when I have all these unanswered questions or like unanswered thoughts and like you're kind of in that unknown zone of like, what can I do? What can I do? How bad is this going to be? You know, injury wise, what does this mean? That kind of stuff. It's like, that's like the worst part, right? Because the anxiety just gets so, but even if you have bad news, once you have like the concrete bad news and your mind can stop at least like sending you off the cliff, that's very helpful. So I'm glad that you have that, you have the news and it's good news, which is great. And you have your like plan to follow with PT. I'm sure it's not going to be straightforward. I feel like it's never linear, but I walked into PT last week and they were like, how are you doing? And I'm like, well, you know, not great this week, but I had a really good week last week. So I figure it's like two steps forward, one step back, time to take my step back and have a bad week. And they just looked at me like so sad. And I was like, this is the truth, right? Like everyone tells me it's like not linear progression, you know? So like, I'm just trying to set realistic expectations of myself that like, it's a bad week and it's going to be what it is. But
okay, that's something I've caught myself though. Like I like walk in and they're like, how are you? And I'm like, good. And then I'm like, wait, no, I'm not. Like I'm broken. I'm like horrible. Why do I just automatically, it's like the American in me is like, oh, I'm good.
Yeah. No.
Sometimes it's like, you got to say the real thing, right?
Yeah.
Like I love that. And also I'm like looking at myself, this is interesting because I have a few friends, like one who's a primary care physician was like, go on the portal and find out what your MRI says. And I was like, ignorance is bliss. And maybe that's not true. Like ignorance. Cause I was just so worried I'd like see something on there. And then I actually did go on the portal and there was nothing there. There was like, it like wasn't uploaded. So
I do think that is when it's like doctor speak and you know, and a lot of that is like a lot of times you'll get MRIs or x-rays and there's a lot of things that could be wrong that like everyone just always has wrong with them, especially athletes, right? So that can be like a slippery slope, but it is nice to see like, I mean, you can probably tell there's no major issues, right? If it was up there, but I do feel like doctors kind of hide that until they could talk to you sometimes with the official word.
I know. Well, sometimes it is, like you said, like it's better to get an official, because I mean, I could see something and like, go do too much Googling and whatnot. But like, how is your PT? I mean, I'm curious, like, what are you doing in PT right now? Because now that I'm like, close to getting into the world of knee PT.
Yeah. So I mean, for me, I'm basically on this like cusp where we want to start doing a lot more stuff, but I'm still having a lot of swelling, and that swelling is preventing I shouldn't say a lot. I'm still having some swelling, and that swelling is preventing my quad from really being able to like build up, right? And get stronger. And so we actually have just like revamped kind of PT a little bit. I mean, I don't know, like, so with the root repair, it's very tied into your hamstring. And so I have been cleared to start doing hamstring work, and I have been doing that, and doing hamstring work really aggravates the whole knee and everything, right? And so that, and I don't know if you saw, like, Alicia Monson has had a meniscus root repair repaired about a week ahead of me, and she didn't have the second part of the surgery, so hers hopefully is a little bit more straightforward. But she actually posted last week, and I would like to point out that I was, at the time I looked, she probably has replied to more comments since then, but at the time I looked, I was the only comment she replied to, which was very exciting. And because she said, like, I had a really big setback last week where I was doing some like, uphill strides, and my hamstring, and then you could tell like she had gone down this whole rabbit hole of like wondering if the repair had failed and like things like that. And basically says, as far as they can all tell, she has a really good team. Everything seems okay. It's just like a little setback, right? But so one, it's good to know that, like I said, I appreciate you sharing that, like you're having setbacks too, because it's nice. Misery loves company, right? But the hamstring is like this weird part. And I think when you work the hamstring a little bit too much, even the smallest part, it like sets off a string of other things. So we've actually decided to like not table the hamstring work for a little bit, but kind of let your hamstring like get normal everyday work, and then hopefully get the swelling down. I'm in my Normatec boots, like Haley. If I'm at home and I'm doing something on the computer or something sitting where I'm sitting for more than like 5 minutes, I'm in my Normatec boots trying to get the swelling like under control. I mean, I think there was one day when I was literally in them for like 3 hours because it was a day when I was like working at my computer a lot. And I do think that is helping. And then we basically are just doing a lot like less PT at this point, but really trying to do like isometric leg press, single leg isometric leg press, right?
I think that's going to be on my future too. I know. I think he mentioned that.
And so to like, just to really try, get the swelling down, not do a lot of other things except for like concentrated strength work with like, not doing that every day, like, giving yourself time to rebuild and kind of get stronger on that. So like, it's really just 2 to 3 times a week now I'm doing like concentrated quad building PT. And then I have toe PT, and like, I mean, my foot and my gait and my ankle, like, all
it
those
all the
patterns
same
are
person?
like,
Is it the same person?
Mine is the
There's
same
not
person.
a special person that does your toe and a special person that does your toe.
But I mean, literally, like, and so that kind of stuff I can kind of pile onto the quad thing. But I'm not doing a lot of the like other kind of hamstring things and stuff like that. So it's a little bit of a different approach. It seems to be working, but yeah, time will tell. I don't know. It's
this
tough.
is now
and, like,
the injury podcast.
I know, and you'll see it like too. It's so hard when you're looking at it, your injury, right, every single day, and it like it's that whole thing. It's really hard to see the forward progress when you're in your own body, looking at it every day, and like trying to figure out in your own mind how to take that like bird's eye view that your PT does get to see, and like when they see you once or twice a week, like they can see that direction a lot easier than it is for you every day, like feeling it every second of your life, which is really hard,
With my hand PT, I had wished, I was like, God, I wish I had done like what were my claws and tables like the first time. I wish I had taken a video of that just so I could have seen that. But her reaction has been, it's good when I see her. And but I do wish I had like chronicled that, because it is harder for me to actually see it. The one thing, okay, here's one thing that was like very easy for me to see visually with the swelling was like my hand, like she's like, you want to see your hand wrinkles. And I feel like that's something that like gets a bad rap sometimes, like wrinkles. And I think knee wrinkles are the same way. Like people are like, oh, like wrinkles are bad. And now I'm like, I love my wrinkles. I love aging, like all this, because it means that there isn't swelling, like that kind of thing. And I'm like, no, we're team wrinkle over here. Like I've never been happier to like see my wrinkles. And so now it is when I look at my hand, I'm like, look how wrinkly it is. Yay.
It's so funny. Yeah. But we'll continue to cheer for each other in PT and all of our listeners out there who might be going through it. It's tough, but we'll make it through. And then we'll get to be those people who send our doctors the photos of us finishing that race and being like, you put a stack together one way or another, and we're back at it. So
yes. And wait, you post the videos, you're on the bike, right? You've been able to ride the bike?
Yeah. So I'm riding the bike inside. I'm not clipping in. So I'm just in tennis shoes on like flat pedals that I put on. And slowly but surely, that's been one of the good things that's been kind of able to build. And then swimming in the endless pool. It's actually, I think, have I talked about this much on here?
No, you have an endless at your house or?
Oh no, I joined. So this is like really weird. One of the gyms in town got rid of their lap pool and installed 3. They're called Swimex. It's not an endless pool, it's a Swimex, and they put 3 in. One, Haley kept it 90 degrees.
Oh my gosh, that's so warm. Do you like walk in that one? Is that
Yeah,
like
I think that's
for-
supposed to be more because they have
Okay.
like steps and they have kind of platforms that you can do like plyometrics in. And so it's kind of like also a therapy pool and like a PT rehab pool. But I would still be doing my PT rehab in the colder one. Then the one's kept at 83 degrees, which is like borderline too warm for Alyssa. And then one is 79 degrees, which is like
That's
perfect
Alyssa's.
for the Goldilocks of Alyssa's swim temperatures, right? So
I love it.
I mean, this is like a wild machine, Haley. It goes, I'm still learning a lot. I've only swam in it a handful of times. And so I'm kind of like getting a feel for it more, but because I'm not going to be able to push off a wall like strong anytime soon. So, this though allows me to start swimming and getting the feel for like kicking a little bit back. And so it's run on percentages. And so I had to like call the company and ask them like, excuse me, how does
Oh.
this percentage like translate to any sort of real swimming time? Right. And so they actually did send me, they were super nice, sent me like the table of kind of times. Right. And so it's really interesting. I mean, it gets like, it's not a linear curve, right? So as you're like upping the percentage, it like goes, it's like a exponential curve, I guess. So like before you know it, it's getting
So you
like
don't want to
really
put like
fast.
90 and it's like Michael
No.
Phelps speed or
I
Katie
would not be able
Ledecky
to swim
speed.
that at 90. I've topped out at 85%, I think, right
That's
now with
pretty
paddles,
fast.
which is pretty good.
Okay.
Yeah. And I think 100% is like 101 pace, 100 per yards or something,
Okay.
right?
So it's fast.
It's not going to get like, maybe that's 100 or 1 minute per 100 for meters. I forget if it's meters or yards.
Katie
Insane.
Ledecky would be like, this is too easy.
Yeah, she's like, oh, just backstroking along in there, right? But it has allowed me to get back in the pool. It's really weird. I'm very curious to see when I eventually will be like swimming in a lane again, how it translates. It's funny because I've always been a one-sided breather. Like I only breathe on my left side. I can breathe to my right side if like sun or waves or something is an issue. But if that's not an issue, I'm only breathing to my left, right? And it's funny because now I'm trying to do bilateral breathing. I'm like, well, I may as well just like, it's boring in here. I may as well work on something. So I've been trying to get my right side breathing better. And it's funny because I can tell where in my stroke my bilateral breathing is bad because like when I start to like do what I'm doing, which is like dropping my hand, I think too early, my left hand, it like pushes me back and you can like feel it pushing you back, right?
Wow.
So it actually is good for that kind of like swim cues and stuff. Definitely not my favorite device I've ever had, but again, thank goodness
How
I
long?
have.
Like how long is your typical session in the endless pool?
Hillary's writing workouts for me about 40 minutes now. And
That's
I
a
will
lot.
say I got like waterproof.
Do you rest? Like, do you still
headphones.
rest?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so sometimes like it'll be churning quite fast. And I'll like
grab to the side.
dive in and like count 30 seconds and be like, okay, that was like about 30 seconds of a swim effort. And then it like pushes you back into the wall, but it's not like I mean, yeah, as long as you're like capable in the water. I think if you were like not capable in the water and you had it cranked up really high, it would be a little bit scary, but like it's fine for people who are comfortable in the water. So and it will like program in workouts, but you can only program in 10 different things, like 10 steps to your workout.
Oh, that's
kind of
cool.
have to
So it
be,
already
like-
so it does it for you. You don't need like a clock on the bottom that like
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, and then it slows it down. So it like will speed it up and slow it down without
and so
you
it'll
having
give
to
you
press a
rest.
button.
Yes.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
That is kind of nice.
And so it's been a really good tool. I think I will definitely be using it more and more too for like PT as I need to do like lateral stuff. And I use it now for some movement, like my calf raises really have been bad on my left leg. And so I'm trying to do more of those in the water to get that stronger. So just a lot of things like that. So, but it's nice just to have movement, right? And
yeah.
like,
Does it
different
feel, because
things.
that's like one of the things I think that's one reason I'm like eager to get back in the pool. Cause I'm like, I think it might feel good on my knee to do like some easy kicking. But obviously like with the hand, I can't. So it's like things where I'm like, that would probably, or like walking in the water, that kind of thing, where you have a little bit of a resistance, but not that much. And that's like, I don't know. These are like the things I think about, but again, time goes by fast, but it's fun to hear from you who's like a little bit further ahead.
Yeah. Professional PTer over here.
I mean, I felt like this, like after, 9 years ago when I was like really hurt, after I got hit by the car, like it was the same knee, like it is the same knee, which I'm like, oh, like every time they're like, what is this scar from? And I was like, oh, but, the one thing I remember is that like it's like crazy to me that that was now 9 years ago. Like, and it's like I remember it is one of those things like in the moment everything is so hard and it takes so long, and then but like the human body is amazing, you know, and so I keep trying to tell myself that again. It's harder to do it the second time.
I
Like the
know.
first time, it's like very optimistic, and even with 9 years in between, I know you were like 1 year in between, but like it's just like this again. No.
Yeah.
Like I
Yeah.
love the PT, but I'm like I actually love like my own pace at the gym, but a little bit better.
Yeah, I actually love just working out. Not, yeah.
I don't like, I mean, I know some people like having a trainer and whatnot, but I'm like, I like my own schedule. But anyway,
Yeah.
it's fine. We'll keep everyone posted. And there is still like a lot of really fun racing happening, including like this week. Okay, this we're not at the interview yet. We do have a mailbag, but I do want to say this because it kind of leads into each other. But this week I talked to Jocelyn Bonney, the assistant coach at University of Arizona for women's triathlon. And the shock of this interview, and you'll hear it in the interview, my shock, was when she told me that because of the hurricane, Hurricane Milton hit Claremont, Florida, where the race is being held this weekend. And because the swim area was flooded and ruined, and they aren't able to swim in Lake Louisa, where they were planning to do the swim, they are doing the swim on Friday in a different location at the Claremont Water Complex. And then on Saturday and Sunday, Alyssa, they will do a bike run, and it will be pursuit style. So like they take all the times from the swim, 750 meter like time trial swim on Friday, and then like that's how they'll line up and like go. So I guess like somehow they're going to be able to get like everyone like 1 second, 2 seconds apart, like however they finish in that swim, that's how they'll go for the bike and the run. And this blew my mind.
That's crazy. I mean, first of all, kudos to like whoever had that idea and was like, this actually makes a lot of sense, right? Because we talked about it a little bit before recording, and I was kind of like, it's like very different still, right? It's still very different to like separate the swim out, and especially by a full day, right? And get like that much rest in between, and have it be like essentially like a swimming time trial, and then you rest for 24 hours and then do the duathlon, bike run, right?
Yeah.
But I still think that's better than no swim at all. Like much better, you know, because the swim is 100% a game changer in triathlon. And yeah, when you just have a bike run, it is like an entirely different race, quite literally. And so I think figuring out a way to factoring in people's swimming ability is like really innovative. And I'm shocked in a way that it hasn't been done in other like race formats, especially for pros when swims are canceled or things like that, like finding a way to get that done. Why not, right? If
I mean,
like at all possible. I know
it might not be Chattanooga. Why couldn't we have just we could have just gone to the Chattanooga Y downtown, hammered out 3,800.
It's great publicity for the Y, right? Like people could just be cheering. It's like and it would be over pretty quickly, you know. I think we could make it happen. Yeah, I think it's cool. I think for like some higher stakes things, it's really worth considering, but I'm excited to hear how it goes and see how it goes and all that.
I know, and kudos to USA Triathlon. I believe they're also doing this for the age group race. There's an Aquathon, like Aquathon Nationals is the same weekend for age groupers, which is swim run, and they also have that option to go swim on Friday. I think some of them it's a little bit hard if you weren't flying in ahead of time, and you don't quite have that. You just end up doing a 5K run, but still like. Yeah, kudos to USA Triathlon. I can't believe, I know, like you said, I can't believe we haven't seen this before. And maybe it is something we can be doing in the future. I mean, the logistics again, it's easy for me to sit here and say that, but I'm excited to see how this plays out. It is still going to be very different and very exciting, but I was floored. And also I'm shocked at myself. I've never thought of this before.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. So that race is happening. Haley, another very important race is happening this week in the United States of America.
Yes, the presidential election.
Intro to the presidential election. So by the time this airs on Thursday, I mean, we may or may not actually know the outcome of that race, but I do think it's worthwhile that to give a little shout out for previous IronWomen guest on the podcast, Caroline Gleich is running in the election for Haley. You're gonna be able to
Senate in Utah,
right?
Yeah,
and so. It's just really exciting to see someone like a peer of ours in a way, right? Be in a high profile race in a way, right? She's made it high profile, I think by her campaigning and things like that. So, we're cheering for Caroline to win. I'm cheering for Caroline to win.
Me
You can
too.
cheer for whoever you want, Haley.
I'm cheering for Caroline, and I think this is, if you go back and listen to her interview, which I think was in like 2018, it was a while ago, or 2019. We had interviewed her because of her climbing Everest, and it was a climb for equality, and she talked about that process, and actually I think she even mentions in that interview that she was getting more comfortable with like fundraising as part of her mountaineering, and because one of her goals was to potentially run for office. And so it actually wasn't that far in the future, and we're seeing her run for Senate, like very big office. So regardless what happens, I mean, I think it's just showing like kind of that overlap of skills that you see in sports into, I don't want to call it real life because sports aren't fake life, but other parts of life. And that makes me feel really good about how much time I've spent doing sports. Maybe I will do something useful with it. No, we're podcasting.
Yes.
And I like, again, it's been a couple of weeks of soul searching. So forgive me for like throwing that all on here, but very cool for Caroline. And then of course, presidential election. We'll hopefully have an answer by Thursday by the time people listen to this. It's kind of weird recording our pre-election. These are like our pre-race thoughts. It's like when we did that Coeur d'Alene episode and we did pre-race and post-race. But hopefully this doesn't end with us laying on the ground like we're dehydrated. It might.
It very well might. And Haley, before we get to the Jocelyn that you interviewed, we have a mailbag from Jocelyn from Feisty World of If We Were Riding.
Jocelyn Wong Neal.
Yes, sending in a mailbag question to the IronWomen mailbag. Thank you for the crossover, Jocelyn. And so this is a question for you, Haley. So she's congratulating you on your strong finish in Chattanooga and me on my knee surgery recovery process. Thank you, Jocelyn. She had a question for you, though, about your outfit change in the race at Ironman Chattanooga. You changed into actual running shorts with your sports bra. Can you elaborate on your decision and the differences in uniform rules for triathlon versus T100 races?
Okay, I have like 3 different answers for this.
She also has another question. We can't forget to answer the other question. So, but first, let's talk about this.
Okay.
Uniform change.
Okay. So the difference in rules, I think Kelly O'Mara has done a good explainer on this. But yes, in T100 races, you do have to like keep everything zipped up. And so like you can't pull down your top or anything like that and run in a sports bra. And that's because they go by World Triathlon rules. I will say Emma Pallant-Brown has like a little like shrug she wears over her swimsuit, and then she's able to take that off. And so like I would love to know like the distinction on that, because she is able to like fully unzip a zipper, and that maybe because she has her stomach covered, it's okay. I don't know.
Yeah.
And so and so in T100 you do have to keep your whole kit zipped up. In Ironman, I believe you are still allowed to unzip and roll the top in and then run in the shorts and the sports bra. I forgot to ask about that in the pro meeting. So I had actually that is something that like I like to clarify in Ironman races. In the US, it seems like it has not been a problem for women like to run in a sports bra and like have it unzipped and just like rolled up. But I think in Europe, I've heard of people having issues. And then, so it's just something I like to clarify with the, in the pro meeting, I'll usually talk to the official and like clarify on that, but I forgot. Like there was so much going on, I think with the canceled swim, and I just totally forgot. And so part of it was that like, if you take off the zipper, so in the change tent, like we actually had a change tent, like you go into the change tent and take off the zipper. Like I had talked to an official the day before, like I just run in a sports bra and shorts. And that was okay. Like that was okay. There's no zippers involved. Cause a lot of the times the zipper is what like creates the issue. So it's like, okay, if I take off the zipper, there's no issue. And so that was part of it. The other part of it was like, I was racing during like literally the worst 9 hours of my period. And I have like light pink shorts. And so I was nervous about that. And in hindsight, like here is definitely what I have learned. So I've actually had this happen like a few times this year. And the first one was like in Singapore. And this is, again, maybe too much information. Please feel free just to scroll ahead. But I was like really scared about this in Singapore. And like, Because again, T100, you can't change. There's no change tent. And I know
Mhm.
Emma Palin-Brown, who I already mentioned, you know, she had that race in Ibiza last year where she was like bleeding through her tri-suit, and like she embraced that. And I just wish I could be her. I mean, in a lot of ways, I wish I could be Emma Palin-Brown, like so many ways. And I'm just like not quite that confident, I don't think. And so I was really scared, and I have never in my life. I had a friend who like was like, "Have you ever tried like a menstrual disc instead of like a tampon?" And I
Mhm.
hadn't. I had never. And like, you're not supposed to do anything new on race day, and I
Yeah.
decided to do that new on race day in Singapore. Because I was just like, I it's too much time. Like, and there's no like, and also with like in these 200 races, there's not like a plethora of porta potties and stuff. Like,
Yeah.
that's the
Yeah.
problem with like some of these shorter, smaller races is like, I like maybe there's a porta potty like before the start, but like there aren't a lot of porta potties, and so it's just like, what am I gonna do? And so I decided to use that menstrual disc. I had never ever tried one before. Have you ever tried one?
I used to use a menstrual cup.
Okay.
And so I think it's like fairly similar, but there's a learning curve. There's a big
When
learning
I
curve.
decided to do it the first time in a foreign country, the day of my race, I was so scared. At first, I was like, what am I? This is like not going to work. But Alyssa, it was amazing. It totally worked. Like, it was great. Like, I had no issues in Singapore. And so, again, but that is a shorter race. It's like,
Yeah.
you know, a 4 hour race. Like, it's just one of the, you know, it worked out great. Yeah, I am a huge, huge fan. And so, so that was like April, and then going into this race in September, but I'm like, this is Ironman. It's just so much longer. And
Yeah.
like, again, this is like the worst possible, like 9 hours. And so
Hmm.
I, I was like, okay, I decided to change into black shorts. And going into this. So like going into that change tent, I changed, which also I'm like watching men's Kona, and there were like cameras in the change tent. And I was
Oh,
like, I was definitely like naked in there, but
yeah.
so I'm glad there were no cameras at Chattanooga. And I actually think there were other athletes like Danielle Fateau, who you just like interviewed. She changed. Angela Nath. Like they have their own reasons, but this is like my long drawn out story. Jocelyn's gonna be so sad she asked this, but anyway, um, okay, but here's the thing. In Chattanooga, I changed into black shorts, but then I missed the porta potties. Like the porta potties weren't in the tent, they were outside, right? And so I had to put like extra like tampons and an extra menstrual disc like in my change bag, but like I couldn't find the porta potty, and I wasn't gonna like do that right in the change tent. And so I like shoved them down my sports bra and like ran out. And so like literally I was bleeding like all over. Like or even with the black shorts, it did not matter. Like it was just a mess. Like it was such a mess. And I was like, where can we get to the first mile? And like, yes,
Oh
there's
God.
like my friend's husband took pictures of me, all these things. And so I have my own Emma Pallant-Brown moment, like less, you know, less cameras, because you're like when you're in eighth place or whatever, it's not quite the same thing. But then I like go to the first like porta potties, and you kind of had to like veer off the course. And it was like right where special needs was for the second
Hmm.
lap. And so
Hmm.
everyone thought I was like going the wrong direction. And I'm like, no, no, no. I
Oh my
just like
gosh.
need a porta potty.
Oh
Like
my
I know
gosh.
we're only 1 mile into this race, and it's like off the course, but I was like, I need this. But I'm actually really proud of like, I did a menstrual disc change mid Ironman,
Whoa. Okay. Yeah.
which is like, I mean, maybe not the most sanitary thing, but then I was fine.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's like parts of that in hindsight, honestly,
Do you
I
feel like you needed to change it? I guess that would be the
no.
question.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
Or
Here's
what?
what I would have
Yeah.
done in hindsight. I don't
Yeah.
think wearing black shorts didn't really matter. Like I should
Yeah.
have just kept, I actually think the pink shorts, because there's a lining in like tri shorts, I
Yeah.
think I should have just kept those on. I should have used the porta potty in transition. Like now I know where they were. Like I should have paid more attention to that. And yes, I do think I had to change. Like I was
Okay.
like,
Yeah.
it's sad because I like missed out on the podium and the Coda slot by 90 seconds. And there's like a lot of things that I wasted time doing on that
Yeah.
race. And
Shoot.
so, but you live and learn. It's just how it is, I
Mhm.
think.
No, well, thanks for sharing that story. I feel like this is going to be very helpful for our listeners. This is one of those things that people don't really talk about, except for like Emma Pallant-Brown. Gwen Jorgensen, I think, has gone on about it. I think she also has like experimented with cups and discs and things recently. But it's definitely an issue when you're doing these long races, you know?
Yeah.
And
I'll
yeah.
I'll add too that like in my personal needs for the run, because I'm just in a good mood today. So I'm just gonna like whatever, put this
Throw
out
it
on the
all out
internet.
there.
But in my personal needs for the run, I actually had put like another menstrual disc and like a tampons in there just in case. again, like this is why I get mad about that story. Like everyone's like, can you believe they sent the astronaut woman with 100 tampons for a week? And I'm like, I would rather have 100 tampons. Like I just like than not have enough.
I just always think of the song, like the 100 tampon song that they like made, you know what I'm talking about?
But I'm like, I also have no problem. Like I put like 100 tampons for just an Ironman, basically, because I'm like, I would rather have too many than not enough. But anyway,
an
like
assortment. Yeah.
I know. So
different
I'm running
a little bit different situation though.
Yeah, but I'm running like past the special needs, and they like were so kind. The volunteers, they like are pulling things out of the bag, and like they're like,
tampon. We've got a super, we've got a regular. Which one would you like, ma'am? Coming through.
Like it was literally like, but I was like, I'm actually good, amazingly. I was fine for the 3 hours or 2 hours and 57 minutes that I was running.
So it's interesting. There is a big movement in trail running to like have races Trail Sisters approved, and Trail Sisters is a group that like really pushed for races to have this like designation. And that means like if your Trail Sisters approved, there's a variety of things. I think one of them is like you are consciously making sure that 50% of your start line is available to women, so that like when you get that race day picture of your race, right, like you see everyone right in the on the start line, and not just like men pushing women out. And then one of the other things is like tampons or pads or whatever, like a variety of things available at aid stations. And that is something that like Ironman could definitely do. And like, it would be nice. I'm sure at medical, you could probably have someone that digs one up, but like, you probably have a faster chance of finding someone like a spectator dig through their purse and like get it for you. But that is definitely something that I think it would be really nice to see at Ironman aid stations. Right. And I think like anywhere that there's a porta potty with the Ironman aid station, there should also be a table with like tampons and pads, or like what, I don't know. Does anyone race in pads? I don't know if that's like really feasible, but at least some kind of an option for people, I think, because it is important, and it would be nice to like destigmatize it, because I think people probably feel like this need to like whisper around or like ask quietly, right? Instead of just like having your special needs people be like, tampons, here you go sister, go.
No, I mean, again, like I'm very thankful for that volunteer. And I also had like, I mean, again, when I was like running out that first mile, and it was just like, I was a mess. And one of my friends actually did ask, she was like, can I give her one? Can I give her a tampon?
Yeah,
and like, but it's like, that's outside assistance.
No, but like also, I mean,
also at a certain point, you're like, oh my God, DQ me. But, but luckily I had them shoved down my front. That's what I love to do. But I was like, but also I'm like, I can't be the first person to have done this
with it. You can't race with like a standard tampon. You can't race with it in your kit for very long when you're wet, because it's going to like it's going to start absorbing, right? I mean, it's not like these things are waterproof wrappers, and so you really have a very limited window to be able to get it and then use it. It's not like you can, so for all the men out there who are thinking like you can just stick one in your tri-suit and like hold it for when you need it, like that's not feasible. Like you certainly cannot swim with it. And then like, also, I mean, within minutes on the bike, like of you going through an aid station or like pouring water on your head running, like it's gonna not be usable anymore. So like having it actually near somewhere where you can like put it to use within a few minutes is like a very important thing.
And it is the problem with like blood in any sense. Like if you get a little water mixed with blood, like it's just like spreads everywhere. But yes, I like this. We're ending the stigma. No, thank you for letting me have this. Thanks, Jocelyn, for that question.
I know. So the second part of Jocelyn's question though is she's switching over her race focus. She sent us, sorry Jocelyn, we're a month late on answering this. Our mailbag has been so full. Keep sending in your questions, everyone. IronWomenPodcast@gmail.com. We love it. We took a little time getting to this, so hopefully this isn't all useless information to you, but she's switching over to focus on sprint distance triathlon next season. We're good. We got tons of time. What advice do we have for someone who has spent over 2 decades doing long course triathlons and needs to wake up fast twitch muscles? Oh, I love this question. This is a good one.
I want to hear your answer first. What is your answer?
My answer would be to keep it really simple. First, I would consider boosting your strength training. I think strength goes a long way for being fast, right? And
down bad crying in the gym with us. Yes, Jocelyn, you don't have to be injured. You can just do it for fun.
Hit the gym hard, get strong. That's gonna help you find some speed, but then also a little goes a long way. Like I'm a big proponent of strides, 15, 20-second strides at the end of runs, like easy running, and then just throw in 8 to 10 strides, right? Or do like hill strides. That kind of stuff I think goes a long way to just like wake up your body. And I think you'll be surprised how much speed you can build just by like incorporating some strides into the end of your runs. And then just have fun, like join a track group, right? Go like run fast sometimes. Like literally that's all it takes. And like just have fun doing it. I think we can all commiserate with being at this point in our careers, we will say, of being an athlete. Where like, if it's not like, don't make yourself miserable doing it, but find some people that push you to run fast sometimes and then run with them.
Yeah, I love those answers. And I would just add like strides, kind of that same mentality does work for swim and bike too. So like doing some fast 25 swimming, like doing 20-second efforts on the bike, like that can be, it's very similar and neuromuscularly and, just working on that fast and with plenty of rest. Like I walk in between my strides, even before I was injured. Now you have me dreaming of strides, but no, like that was something I've added. Like I used to jog in between and then I started walking in between just so I could be really focused on like being fast in form and everything. And then the other thing I would say is just like give yourself a good warm up, just because we are a little older and and just like give yourself a really good, easy warm up. And so that's one thing I think with doing shorter races, it doesn't necessarily take like it takes less time. The race takes a lot less time, but sometimes the training doesn't take less time when you're doing fast stuff. It can still take as like, you
just more rest.
Yeah. And I listened to I don't know, something with Gabby Thomas, the 200-meter gold medalist. Like she was talking about some of her workouts and she'll spend up to 90 minutes warming up for a track session. Yeah. So it's just like, you just want to get yourself, when you're going that fast, like just take care of your body. Don't get injured, like give yourself a really good, nice long warm up. And so hopefully like, you still get the buzz though. You're gonna get the buzz. Like you might not do quite as much mileage, but you're still doing that work. And I love the gym part. Course.
Yeah, definitely hit the gym. But good luck, Jocelyn. We can't wait to follow along in your sprint triathlon career next season. It's gonna be super exciting. And mailbag questions can continue to come in to ironwomenpodcast@gmail.com.
And I did allude to this earlier, but this week's interview is with Jocelyn Bonney, who is the assistant coach at the University of Arizona. She told me all about creating this program from scratch. It's just in the last 2 years. They're going into this national championship this weekend, I think ranked second in Division I. So quite the trajectory. So she talks about that, building team culture. She also told me a little bit about her background. And Alyssa, she was actually the first ever individual national champion in NCAA triathlon. She raced for Queen's University, and that was back in 2015, and it was in Claremont. And like the part where she talks about her memories of Claremont and then going back there now as a coach is pretty special. So she also just gives us a lot of insight into what to expect this weekend, and we can hopefully tune in on there, either the University of Arizona live stream, USAT live stream, going to be so exciting, but I'll have that full conversation to get you really hyped for this weekend's NCAA National Championship with Jocelyn Bonney right after a word from our sponsors. Hi, Jocelyn. Welcome to the IronWomen podcast.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I'm stoked about this.
You are the assistant coach of the Arizona Wildcats NCAA triathlon team, and I'm talking to you just before the national championship that's happening. By the time this airs, it'll be happening this weekend in Claremont, Florida. What is life like right now as you prepare for this really, really big race?
Oh my gosh, it's pretty much controlled chaos all the time. We're trying to get the squad ready, so we have 8 girls traveling, 7 racing. So yeah, we're getting the squad ready. Everyone needs to work on a bit, different things right now, different tapers, different kind of last minute preparations. So getting them all ready, trying to finish our recruiting for the year. National signing day is just a few days after national championships for us, which is one of the crazy parts about being a fall sport. So trying to finish this year off strong while getting ready for next year.
Wow. I mean, before we hit record, you did mention that you had recruits this weekend. So we are recording this a week before the national championship, but you are hosting recruits in Tucson this weekend while also preparing the team to race in the national championship next weekend. That seems insane to me. I came from a swimming background, which is a winter sport, and also I'm a little bit older, so the rules were different back then for I think when recruits came and when signing happened. But I didn't realize it was so challenging for fall sports.
Yeah, it's one of the craziest. I mean, being a fall sport, in my extremely biased opinion, is one of the harder times to be in season because the athletes come to campus, and the day that they come to campus, we take them to the athletic trainer, hopefully get them cleared, and the next day we start in season training. So they have really no time to acclimate to campus. They get here, and we're immediately in season. And then from pretty much this year, it was August 16th through November 9th. They are in season prepping for national championships, going to world championships halfway through. A few of them have been traveling internationally quite a bit during our NCAA season this year, just because of the way that world championships fell. And then, yeah, on top of everything, National Signing Day is the week after our NCAA championships this year. So we're getting some recruits out this weekend. They get to see us in very real form, kind of 6 days out from nationals, trying to prep, get those last minute preparations in, and yeah, hopefully we'll be able to announce our recruiting class here in about 10 days.
Wow. I mean, no chance for smoke and mirrors there. They're just going to see what it's really like. As a coach, how do you prepare these like freshmen, especially? I can't imagine like coming to campus, like, so how much of a change in life that is, and having like races so soon after they start school and move and are on their own for the first time, possibly.
Yeah, so we got really lucky this year with our for two reasons. One, the US domestic season just happened to end like 5 weeks earlier than it normally does.
Okay.
So all of our freshmen, American-based freshmen, were able to have a 5 week period where they weren't racing and just kind of got to relax, say bye to family, emotionally prepared for a gigantic life change that was about to happen. And then our international freshmen, two of the three had taken a bit of a break, intentionally, like a mid-season break to prep for world championships and NCAAs. And then we actually had one freshman who, Sarah Cristiani from Italy, who raced the European Championships, flew straight from European Championships to Tucson, and then got right into NCAA season. Obviously, very strategically and not just like throwing her in the deep end right after a championship race. But we also this year went to Chula Vista, California at the Olympic training site there for a week-long camp. And really that camp's focus more than anything was just on acclimating them to our team environment, integrating them to our team culture, and really giving the upperclassmen a chance to rise as leaders and show the freshmen how we do things here. And really make sure that they were on board with the team's vision before we even started the year.
Okay, so that was before school started. There was a little bit of an acclimation that they got to do before classes start, and that collegiate life starts.
Yeah, so they got to campus on a Thursday. We left for camp on that Saturday, got back from camp Wednesday night, and they started class Thursday morning. So
Wow, these are busy kids.
Hurricane, but it was great.
Definitely right into it. And this being your second full year as a collegiate sport, how are you feeling about going into these national championships, about your team? Do you feel like you have that first year under your belt? You finished fifth at the national championships last year, and now you're going to these nationals ranked second. What is that experience like?
Oh man, yeah, this year has just been drastically different from last year in most ways. So one thing that we focus on more than anything else is just the team culture. And so that's been a steady through everything. The girls, they love each other and they would do anything for each other. And all seven of them, I think, literally would die for each other on the course to make sure no one drops from a bike pack or no one gets lost on the swim. And I think that that's been our one steady through the last 2 years, has just been the team culture and really the environment of love that we have here and support for each other. Outside of that, I think everything else has been pretty drastically different this year. Last year, no one had any expectations. I raced as an athlete in NCAA, but that was a pretty long time ago now. And things are pretty different. And then, yeah, Wes and I came here. Neither of us had ever coached NCAA before. Obviously have a coaching background, but not in the NCAA. So we had to learn everything from how to book a flight through the school system to how to log compliance, how to what meetings we had to go to every week, who on campus was in charge of, all the academic sides. There was just so much to learn outside of coaching or racing that first year. And not just for, West or I, but for the girls too. Everything down to, I don't think they had their access codes for our gym until like March of this year. So there were just some things when we all got here, we were just trying to figure it out. Whereas this year, I feel like we really have things way more dialed. Our systems are in place, our people are in place. Yeah, I think this year we kind of got here, everyone knew what their role was, everyone knew what they had to do, and we all knew what to expect. So now we're kind of more on top of the game than we were last year for sure.
And you mentioned this team culture. How do you build that kind of culture in just 2 years?
Oh man, yeah, that's the hard part, right? That's the $1 million question. So really, first and foremost, it comes down to recruiting. I think our number one priority in recruiting is recruiting high integrity individuals that aren't just champions on the race course, but are champions in the classroom and in the community. And my personal opinion is if you can be a champion in the classroom, you can be a champion in the community, and you have a high level of integrity matched with grit, you're going to be a champion on the race course, because those are the personality traits that make you a champion in whatever you're going to do. And we bring those high integrity individuals in here, and they just feed off each other in an amazingly positive way. So it's not this whole, I want to beat my teammate today, they're my rival, and I want to get on the team, and if I get on the nationals team, it means someone else isn't, right? That's not at all what we teach them or how they view it. They view it as, I'm going to make the person next to me better, and they're going to make me better in return. Because, like one person rises, the whole team rises. And then it also helped, we intentionally recruited in a way where we have a team with lots of different strengths and weaknesses. So we have right now, I mean, I'm pretty biased, right? But we have our two swimmers, Kelly Wetland and Laura Holansky. I think every single NCAA race that they've done, they've been the first two out of the water, right? By, 30 seconds sometimes. And so you have two incredible swimmers, right? Everyone else ends up rising to that standard, and they set the standard in the swim. And, I think across the board, I'm pretty confident in saying we're the best swim team in the NCAA. And that's because we have two of the best swimmers setting the standard for everyone else. And, we have that across the board. We have, Lydia Russell. I think she's probably
Our
the
podcast
fastest
editor.
5K.
Yes, our podcast editor. We will full disclosure there. We do know Lydia well here at IronWomen.
Yeah, Lydia's amazing. But, she was a runner at Oregon and New Mexico, two of the best cross-country schools in the country. And so Lydia sets the standard on the run, and everyone rises to that. Ellison Wolf has pretty much changed the game in the NCAA on the bike in the last 6 months. And, she sets the standard for everyone on the bike. And then we have girls who aren't even on our squad going to nationals, who set the standard in how to treat each other, who set the standard in what it takes to be a champion in the classroom, who bring everyone together to go do community service. So our culture is those girls who aren't going to nationals, they are just as important as the ones going, because we want them to be champions in the community and the classroom first. And, that's going to translate to being champions on the race course.
And so how many athletes are on your team? You mentioned you're taking 8 to nationals, 7 will race. How many are there total?
Oh, we have 14 this year. So
Okay.
about half the team will go.
And so what are the athletes who aren't going? What are they doing right now? Are they still training?
Yeah, so they finished the season with some time trials or metabolic testing this week, just to get the end of season baselines. And then all next week, every single one of them is just all in on support for the nationals team. So some of them are actually traveling out there just to cheer on the team, be there for moral support. Others will, be holding the fort down at home, making sure that we hit our team community service hours, making sure that the girls are all in good spirits, kind of helping out in places where maybe as they're prepping for nationals, they don't have quite as much time, like grabbing them lunch when they need it, or making them dinner. You know, when you're a full-time student athlete, sometimes the hardest part of your day is having enough time to make yourself dinner at night.
That is pretty exciting. And this travel to nationals is a little bit different this year because last year you competed just at the road in Tempe, Arizona, and this year the race is happening in Claremont, Florida. And I'm curious about how that might change things. And also, I mean, I think Claremont got hit by Hurricane Milton recently. Does that change up anything? Have you heard anything about that?
Yeah, so that's a bit of a situation right now. So the swim course in Claremont got completely destroyed by the hurricane. So, I mean, right now we're 9 days out from the race, and we know that there's going to be a swim on Friday. We don't know if it's going to be open water at a different venue or a swim time trial in the pool. So we're just trying to be adaptable there. And so what's going to happen is they're going to do kind of like they'll do a swim time trial Friday and then a staged bike run on Saturday. So they're going to start
Really?
everyone based
Wait,
on
I don't think I followed this. I didn't know this was happening. Okay, I mean, I probably should have known, but
No, I
but
don't think they've like
wow.
publicized it
Okay.
anywhere, to be honest, but it's not like top secret information to my knowledge.
Okay.
But yeah, so it's going to be very different.
Wow.
But I think it makes the race more exciting because we have the ability, you know, Friday we'll know exactly where everyone is coming out of the swim, which normally you're trying to create a team strategy and it's all hypothetical. And 80% of the time, it just gets blown up by the time we're at the first buoy, right? But this race, we'll be able to have an extremely clear team strategy that we'll be able to sit down and develop, kind of coaches, staff, and athletes Friday night. And so going into Saturday, all of our athletes have a really clear strategy of exactly what their role is in getting the team to the national championship.
Wow. So they'll just add the times together from Friday and Saturday. Is that the plan?
Yeah, so I think to my understanding is, let's say like the first person will go, right? And maybe this
Oh,
the
it's gonna be a
second fast.
time trial?
Yeah, but
Okay, I'm
the
sorry.
track
This
will
is
be both
blowing
time
my
trials.
mind.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, so a time trial start on Saturday. This is gonna be so wild to watch. And you said Friday, there's a potential it'll be in the pool. The swim could be in a pool, which is
Yep.
so different. And then also like definitely probably favors some athletes over others
Oh,
because
for sure. It changes the game.
wow. And how does that also change? I mean, I guess you'll know, but like you said, if you have, you know, athletes who are starting that time trial very close together, that is, you know, they know ahead of time. It's not just them coming out of the water and being like, oh, Kelly's right next to me.
Yep.
They're gonna be like, okay, we're starting 1 second apart in the actual time trial, and they can like talk and make a plan.
Yeah. So that Friday, I believe our swim time trials at 2 p.m.
Okay.
So, you know, hopefully it's over by about 2:09 and 30 seconds.
Yes.
So yeah, hopefully they're all about that 9.5 minute mark in a perfect world. So yeah, basically starting at about 2:10 on Friday afternoon, Wes and I'll sit down, make a full plan for what's gonna happen Saturday, get the girls on board, and we'll go from there.
What a unique coaching experience for you. What a unique racing experience for these athletes. And I assume that all of you are a little bit of, I mean, I know that this is like, I'm pulling this right from your bio, but pioneers and trailblazers and adaptable because you are in this emerging sport. And I mean, are you just seeing them rise to the occasion where they're like, okay, no big deal. I got this.
Yeah, I think, you know, as a coach, like rule 101 of coaching is you have to be the rock, right? Like you have to just roll with it, be adaptable. You know, as a coach, you get too high or too low, the athletes are going to follow whatever you do, right? So right when Wes and I heard, I think there's kind of like that unspoken rule of like just kind of looked at each other, nodded our heads, and like, okay, we're doing this. And so I think it's a cool opportunity. I think Wes has bought into that it's a cool opportunity. And I think the girls have really followed suit. I'm just super proud of how they've all, you know, triathlon's a game of adaptability. Everyone's fit, everyone's strong, everyone's mentally gritty, right? So it ends up being the most adaptable athlete that wins most of the time. And, you know, just seeing the adaptability of our girls, and it's just been inspiring to watch. And I think they're all in and all excited on, you know, this cool opportunity to really race as a team and have team tactics and just see what we can all do working together.
And aside from the very unusual format of this race, what about the climate change? I mean, when the race is in Tempe, it's very similar to Tucson. The travel, I imagine you just take a bus up there. Now you are flying, humid, possibly, just a very different environment. Are you doing anything to prepare the athletes a little bit different for racing in Florida?
Yeah, so I would say the biggest difference is last year we drove up, 48 hours before. They were in their own beds for as long as really as long as they could, which was our goal, just to keep their lives as status quo as possible, all the way up until the race. And then we were able to take the whole team just because we were driving. Last year we had 10 athletes on the team, so it really wasn't that big of a deal just to take everyone. So this year it is quite a bit different because we're only taking 8. So we're leaving 6 of the athletes at home to kind of to live stream the race. So that's a big change. And then we're actually going out on Tuesday. So they're missing a few extra days of school, but we just wanted to really acclimate them to everything. Instead, we're kind of taking the opposite approach this year, and we're taking them out of their normal environment just to really relax and mentally prepare and, bond with their teammates that they're going to be racing for. Going out into nationals. And then from a heat perspective, we've had a really unusually hot fall here. So, I mean, it was between 95 and 100 degrees here every day until last week. So I think, in a perfect world, we'd get them in a sauna every day, but there are no saunas in the whole city of Tucson because it's so
makes
hot.
sense.
So,
Go outside.
they're extremely heat acclimated though. So I think if anything, that'll be a win. And then of course we use our Omnius little stone headbands to keep them cool while they race. But I think heat acclimation is definitely one of our strong suits at this point.
What about this Arizona versus Arizona State? Is there an interstate rivalry going on?
Oh man, not just in triathlon, but as schools in general, the University of Arizona, Arizona State rivalry runs very, very deep. Just from athletic department to athletic department. I think if anything, it's been amazing to see them push the sport forward, as an outsider the last 7 years. I mean, they've won 7 in a row. To be honest, I was racing for Queens and we were on the last team that beat ASU. So the last year that ASU didn't win, I was racing. And then ever since then, they just destroyed. They beat everyone. And, undefeated at national championships for 7 years in a row is quite inspiring. And they've really pushed the sport forward. And our goal when we came in was like, hey, they've done amazing things for the sport. We want to do amazing things for the sport too. And so really just to come in, and see what we can do to push the sport forward. And I think that we take a very different approach to some things than Arizona State, which I think is good, right? Like all of a sudden athletes have options. Before, Arizona State was like trailblazing, and now we're trying to trailblaze too. And so I think, competition pushes the sport forward and it's how everyone gets better.
And you mentioned Queen's University of Charlotte. You're an alum of both the triathlon team and the university there. And they are carrying that #1 ranking for Division I now. I think when you were there, they were racing Division II. Is that correct? And so things have grown there. How do you feel about that, racing your alma mater?
So when I was racing in the NCAA, it was so just like, it was like the Wild West. Like my first NCAAs, there were like random 35-year-old pro athletes that were in the race. Like it was just the craziest situation. And so we ended up racing Division I just because everyone raced together. So technically it was a D2 school, but we like raced D1 in triathlon, and it was just an overall crazy experience because it was the first year the NCAA existed. So I raced the first 2 years, and yeah, it's just inspiring to see how far the sport has come in the NCAA since then. But yeah, when the rankings came out, I texted Coach Sunny at Queens, and I was like, hey, man, it's going to be great to see you guys back in Florida. The first NCAAs were actually on the same course in Claremont. So it's just like an insane full circle moment for Coach Sunny at Queens and I. And we've been talking a lot about that. Just like, hey, we started this whole NCAA thing together in Claremont. I think it was 2015. So I'm aging myself a bit. That was about 9 years ago.
And you won personally, individually, right? You won that race.
Yeah. So I was able to take the individual title that year, and yeah, I mean, Sunny sent me a picture back of like of winning that one and winning for the team. And I talked to our team a lot here about that day. And just the significance of it, 9 years later, being so removed from that now. And I really try to stress to them that the only thing I remember about my individual title was I finished the race and I was really craving some jambalaya for whatever reason. And so I got a really good jambalaya that night. And that was the only thing I remember about myself that day. But the memories of preparing for that race with the team, and the memories of traveling to that race with the team, and the memories of the feeling of the team winning together, you'll never forget for the rest of your life. I mean, it feels like it was yesterday, and it was 9 years ago. But the individual title, it really doesn't matter, right? I mean, I have a trophy, and I think it's in my mom's garage. Like, it's in California. I don't know. I haven't seen it probably in 8.5 years, right? But the memories of winning as a team are what last a lifetime. And I really think that our team is fully bought into that. I think that they would rather come in second, third, and fourth than have one person win and have the rest come in like 15th, right? Because that's going to get the team the national championship. And they're all really bought into that process. And I tell them all the time, the only time I've ever seen a team as bought into the whole team dynamic as I've seen this team is the team that won that first national championships with Queens. I mean, it's just the minute you can get everyone to race for the team and not for themselves, that's when you have the opportunity to do something really, really special.
Well, as you are reflecting on your past experience in the NCAA, you've obviously seen everything. I mean, basically everything from this whole sport, which is so unique. And as you're watching, the athletes now, and you're watching this sport like on the brink of becoming a full NCAA championship sport, what are some of the changes? I know you mentioned it being Wild Wild West before, but specifically on like NIL and social media, I've talked to other coaches about this, and I'm just so fascinated about it. Sponsorship. Are these things becoming easier, harder? What's the status?
Oh man, I think that it's just like so incredible for the athletes. Like, I only raced in the NCAA for 2 years just because I needed to get sponsorships to afford to race professionally, and I couldn't get sponsorships and be in the NCAA, and it was just like this whole like not great situation, right? Because I wanted to race for my team and I wanted to stay at Queens, but it just financially I couldn't swing it. And now these athletes have the opportunity to get these big NIL deals and still stay with their team in the college environment. And I just think it's amazing. And I think that all of these changes that the NCAA are just making it more sustainable for athletes to go finish their NCAA career and then have a really successful pro career all lined up when they graduate. And that's really the biggest difference. I think from a scholarship perspective, we definitely, I didn't know from a coach's perspective back then kind of how it was, but I know from a coach's perspective now, it's like we're able to offer athletes things that I could have never imagined when I was in school, right? And I mean, just from the amount of funding that the sports get, like I remember being at Queens 9 years ago and being so stoked I got a sweatshirt. Like, it was awesome. Like, the day I got a free sweatshirt and a free bike kit, that was huge. And that was more than any of the other NCAA programs at that time were getting. And now we just have the funding to give athletes, top of the line bikes and helmets and, bike kits and run kits and shoes and, just the opportunities that they get. It makes it financially possible to go to school and be a professional athlete at the same time. And I just think that that's amazing.
And does the university help with like social media? And I mean, are you taking a media person with you to nationals to help document the whole event?
Yeah, we're actually taking two.
Wow.
Yeah. So we're very fortunate that the U of A has an amazing social media department. So they just pump out, material galore, and the athletes have all sorts of different shooting days where they get, all of their professional photos taken. And then after every race, we have an app called Influencer where they get everyone like professional quality pictures. And then you can log all your NIL opportunities in Influencer, make sure everything's staying compliant. And so the U of A has giant systems all set up to help athletes, do everything that they need to do to be, elite in their sport and make it financially doable. And they teach them how to do it in the right way as well, which I think is 90% of the battle.
That is fascinating. Very, very cool. I'm a fan. I like being able to see what's happening. And it is amazing how it's slowly getting easier to follow NCAA triathlon. And you can tell definitely schools like yours are on the forefront of making that content easy for us to find. One other big change I've noticed this season was the addition of some relays. I think at the Battle in the Fort triathlon earlier this year, Arizona actually won that team relay event. And I'm curious about that. And, if you see that being added as an event in the next couple of years.
Oh, most definitely. I mean, I think if you look kind of across the board, that's the direction that the sport's moving, right? With the addition of, Super League and then the MTR and the Olympics, especially with just how exciting the MTR was in the Olympics in Paris. I think that's going to end up being the marquee triathlon event in my opinion. So I think that had nationals not had all the hurricane issues, the idea was to actually have an MTR there this year. But with Hurricane Milton and the destruction there, I don't think it's going to happen. But I definitely see in the next 5-10 years having the addition of the mixed team relay, which I think is just great for the sport. The more times you have the opportunity to race the mixed team relay, the better it is for your country too. Because you're going to be ready for the games, and there's not too many opportunities, especially stateside, to race the MTR and to really get good at it. And it's just very different from a full sprint or a full Olympic distance. And then it fits in great with the NCAA because it's such a team-based event, and so is the whole NCAA. So I think it just makes sense to add it.
What are the distances in that mixed team relay? And it's 3 athletes, correct? So it's a little bit different than how the Olympics plays out.
So they haven't formalized it yet for the NCAA. So my guess is it'd be somewhere around a 300 to 375 meter swim, 10K bike, and 2.5K run, if not even shorter than that. And then so we raced teams of 3 in the Battle of the Fort, but I think that the idea would be to go to 4 just to keep it standard with the games.
Okay.
But yeah, I love the mixed team relay, and from a spectator's perspective, by far the best spectator race as well.
Very cool. We'll be looking forward to that in the future. You mentioned a little bit about your athletes and how this is right now in their life. They're doing NCAA triathlon. It sounds like some are also racing, and you mentioned the World Championship that just happened in Spain, which is World Triathlon racing and draft legal racing. And so, is that how you see, some of your athletes? I imagine they're taking different paths, but some of them do plan to continue with the sport, either in draft legal Olympic style racing or possibly, becoming pros in a non-drafting world. Does anyone express interest in that?
Oh my gosh, yeah. I think right now all 14 of them plan on racing professionally after school. And so most of them actually race World Triathlon all summer through most of the school year as well. Really, in recruiting, that's one of the things that we really prioritize is like, hey, you can come and race in the NCAA, and that does not mean you have to give up your World Triathlon racing. In fact, we actually prioritized World Championships this year over our school's regional championships. So we had 6 athletes going to World Triathlon Championships, 2 under 23s and 4 juniors from, I believe, 4 different countries they were representing. And so our 2 under 23 athletes they're 2 of the 7 that are going to nationals for us. They historically are our scorers. They were our 2nd and 3rd finisher on the team at last year's national championships. And we basically told them, hey, we want you to race well at World Championships, so don't worry about regionals. Like, we'll we'll do what we need to do to qualify for nationals, and we want you to race to the best of your abilities at Worlds. So we'll support you fully in that. And we took our 4 freshmen who are racing World Championships a day later in sprint distance. We took with us to regionals so that we could get the qualification to nationals, which is very important. But most of them ended up, we knew we were in a pretty good place in the run. So we're like, hey, we don't need you to waste your legs, right? Like, you have World Championships in 6 days. Let's take a different approach to this race. Let's test out some things on the bike, see what our team strategy would be for nationals. And really try to string out that swim as well, which is one of our team's strong points. And so we actually ended up tying regional championships this year with ASU, and we lost the tiebreaker by 4 seconds, which is one of those moments as a team we were like, oh, that's just kind of how it shook out, right? And I was really proud of our girls. That happened, and they just all kind of looked at each other. They were like, yeah, we kind of like going into nationals rank second. Like, now we're the hunter, not the hunted. And so, to answer your question, we do really prioritize World Triathlon racing, just because, if you want to go to the Olympic Games, World Triathlon racing is everything, right? And you need to keep those points up during school. But we also, NCAA's is really important for the school. And, we're very fortunate that we have the depth this year where we can prioritize World Triathlon racing while still hold our team ranking up nationally and qualify for the races that we need to.
Yeah, finishing in that tiebreaker with a freshman heavy team makes things a little scary for everyone else for the future, but interesting to see how that all is balanced. And what happens after nationals? Do you get to take a break? I mean, hopefully you do. It sounds like you'll announce your recruiting class, but I can't imagine you're sleeping very much right now.
Oh no, yeah. We make sure the athletes get, their 9 hours a night. I can't remember the last time I did, and I think Wes would probably say the same thing. But yeah, so after nationals, we actually go into a 2-week dead period. So from like an NCAA standpoint, we're actually not even allowed to talk to the athletes for 2 weeks. So they can reach out to us, but we can't reach out to them. But that being said, about half of our team is actually rostered on our cross country team here. So most of them the week after nationals will go and race regional championships for cross country with our cross country team. And then if they qualify for cross country nationals, they'll race the weekend after that. I believe it's in Wisconsin this year for cross nationals. So most of them will go into a cross country focus for at least 1 week, if not 2. And then we'll go into our dead period for triathlon. And then they have pretty much off through the Thanksgiving holiday, just so that they can. It's been a whirlwind of a 3 months for all of us. So they just need a chance to, be 20-year-old kids for a minute before we get back into the swing of winter training.
The cross-country synergy is interesting. Do you have athletes on the swim team as well?
Last year we did, yeah. So, the U of A, we're just super fortunate, has just kind of gone all in on triathlon. And they think that it's really cool how, our athletes can run with the cross-country team and swim with the swim team. We don't have anyone rostered on swim this year, but just because the seasons don't line up quite as well as cross and track. But we have, I believe, 8 athletes rostered on cross-country and track and field. And most of them have raced and scored for the cross-country team this season, which, for them, it's great because they have 8 more built-in friends that they see every day. And they have, most of the time in recruiting, our biggest thing with Americans is they're trying to decide between running cross-country or doing triathlon. And here we can give them both.
Yeah, and the cross-country coaches are okay working with you.
Oh, they're amazing. We're so fortunate here. Bernard Lugot is our head cross-country coach. So the 1,500-meter American record holder, and he's just amazing. And his assistant coach, Coach Schultz, is amazing as well. And they're all in on triathlon. They live stream all of our races. They follow along. Coach Lugot's trying to get a bike to kind of get into it. And yeah,
that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
I'd love to see him do a triathlon.
Oh yeah, we're working on it.
This is so cool. Well, Jocelyn, you have me fired up for the Wildcats and for the NCAA Triathlon Championships. And you mentioned the live stream. So is that USA Triathlon who has live stream? Is that University of Arizona that has a live stream? How can we watch this?
So USA Triathlon, I'm pretty sure will, and if they
Okay.
don't, we most definitely will on the Arizona Triathlon Instagram.
Very cool. We will make sure we link to those in our show notes. Get everyone watching, cheering. If they're in the Claremont area, they need to go out and cheer because it's going to be so exciting. Jocelyn, thank you so much and best of luck to you and your team this weekend.
Thank you so much. I appreciate your time.
Huge thanks to Jocelyn for coming on the show, getting us so excited for this weekend's national championship and the future of the sport. I mean, I think I'm so excited to hear. One of the craziest things, Alyssa, from that conversation actually was like, compared to the past years that we've been doing some of these NCAA interviews, was when Jocelyn told me that all of the girls on her team plan to continue with triathlon after college. And
So
I thought that
exciting.
was, I thought that was so cool because that's not something we've necessarily had in some of our past interviews, even with athletes. Like,
Also, Haley, sorry, this just jumped into my head, but I feel like it's so rare. Like, put ourselves back into college, you know, and like, how many times did your friends get so burnt out that they were like, I'm never doing X sport that I did in college, right?
that
Ever
was
again.
me. I
You're
plan to
right.
never
Yeah.
swim
Well,
again.
yeah, I didn't want to pin you down with that, but like, I mean, runner, right? Like running, swimming. I mean, those are like two major sports for people where like, I just have so many friends, I feel like, who got out of those like experiences in colleges and were like swearing off the sport forever, you know? So it's really exciting. And I think, again, I think it like gives, you know, it's triathlon such a good sport because it does mix it up. I think there's a lot less chance of that like burnout feeling, and it, you know, kudos to Jocelyn. It means she's doing all the right stuff as a coach.
Yes, very cool. And if anyone happens to be in Claremont this weekend, you can catch the swim. The swim waves start at 10:45 a.m. On Friday, November 8th at the Claremont Water Sports Complex. Yeah. And then the age group waves happen after that. So it's only like, I mean, it looks like they'll have it all done within 45 minutes. It's gonna be quick. And then the Saturday, the varsity first wave of bike run starts at 10 a.m. So there's a wave at 10 a.m., one at noon, and then one at 2 p.m. So CBA is how it goes. And that Claremont, the age group run only races at 8:30. So maybe there's a few age groupers who are planning to knock out their run and then go cheer for the NCAA races. But it is going to be unique and fun and exciting. And I'm just wish all those athletes racing the best of luck. And again, hopefully there'll be some live streams on USA Triathlon. And as Jocelyn mentioned, hopefully, like, Alyssa, can you believe that they're bringing 2 media people for University of Arizona? I'm like, times have changed. That's so cool. So hopefully get some good media that comes out of this event.
Totally. And Haley, I wish you all the best at PT this week. I'll be thinking of you. And yeah, I guess we'll be back to commiserate a little bit more again next week. This is fun.
Yeah, hopefully more good news.
Yes, lots of good news.
We need to keep the trajectory going.
Yes.
But thank you, Alyssa. And yes, we can trade PT stories instead of race stories for the next couple of weeks. But hopefully, you know, we're gonna get back to it. And again, lots of other races for us to be watching and getting excited about. So I will chat with you next week.
Bye, Haley.
You've been listening to the IronWomen podcast hosted by Haley Chura and Alyssa Godesky.
IronWomen is a production of Feisty Media and is edited by Lydia Russell and produced by Ella Natishan.
Head to livefeisty.com to find more podcasts, stories, and fresh perspectives.
Thanks for listening.